What's happening, guys? It's Jason from Aircooled Vintage Works, and it's the weekend. And just like you guys on the weekend, that's project card day for me. And I've got a bunch of them going on just like you do. Today, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. It's still Volkswagen related. We're going to try and buff the original paint out on this 59 Westie. Hopefully you watched the walk around video of this bus. If you didn't, you should. Just check out our channel and you'll find it. It's a good walk around and gives the whole backstory of this bus, and we recently got it, and you can see really nice original paint, but I don't think this thing's ever been polished. And so today we're going to fix that. I'm going to show you how to do it, what I do. I'm not a paint expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I've been doing this kind of thing for 30 years on my own old cars, and I'm going to show you what works for me. And if you like it, you can try it on your own. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so we're back. So this is our 59 Westphalia bus, and as you can see, and hopefully you saw the video of the walk around, it's original paint. You can see it's got nice burn through here, but all this is super chalky. It's smooth, but it's chalky, and I don't think it's ever been polished. So today I'm just going to test a section on this just to see what it's going to turn out like. I cheated a little bit. I did this part by hand. I don't know if you can pick that up on the screen, but it's got some shine to it still, but I haven't hit it with any machines yet, and that's really the trick. If you want to get some shine out of it, you have to use a buffer. You can go by hand and you'll get some shine out of it, but as soon as it hits the sun for a couple of days, it'll fade back. It's not permanent. So I want to show you some of the things that I use to do this. It's all basic stuff that you probably already have. I'm just going to grab this camera here. So this is what I call the battle axe. This is my Milwaukee buffer. It's a single action, which means it doesn't oscillate. It just goes in a circle, and it's got adjustable speed, as you can see. Thing is literally a battle axe. It will rip paint off if you don't know what you're doing. So I wouldn't start with this one. What I use is this one. It's Hercules. It's a copy of one of the really high-end buffers that you'll see at detailing places, but it works just as good. And this one is dual action, so it spins in a circle, but it also oscillates. So if you leave it on one spot for a while, you're really not going to tear up the paint too bad. And then you can pick up these buffing pads. They've got coarse, fine, ultra fine, medium. These are all Harbor Freight parts, and they work awesome. They're, again, good copies of very high-end parts that you would get at, say, like a buffing supply store. And for me, these work just fine because I'm not looking for show quality. I want a good shine, but this is not a show car, so we don't need to go spend the extra money on ultra high quality parts. These work great. And then as far as detailing supplies go, I use this machine polish for the final step, but to cut the paint, I'm going to use either this rubbing compound, which is a little bit more aggressive, or this rubbing compound, the Perfected line, which is a little less aggressive. This is a good one to start with, and if you're not getting anywhere, you can jump to this one. But before I do any of that, the first thing to do is to prep the surface, and the way you do that is with a little bit of quick detailer, and I'm sure you guys have all seen this before. Oh. This is clay bar, and what you do is you're going to wet the surface with your quick detailer and then clay bar it, and what that does is it's going to prep this surface. So yeah, like I said, it's smooth, but it has a little bit of grit to it, and that grit is just environmental fallout. It's things that get stuck in your paint from the atmosphere, and what you want to do before you buff is use the clay bar. So I'm going to set this back down and I'll show you guys how I do that, which is very simple. So get yourself some clay bar, and what you want to do is just mix it together just like this. Even though it's clean, it doesn't hurt. Just press it until you get it into a nice clean area. You can see it's gray. There's not really much color to it now. So get yourself this detailer and a rag, and the area we're going to work, I think we're going to do this door right here. So we're just going to spray it down. and clay bar. And it should just glide over the surface. Now, don't do what I'm doing because it's warm out and it wants to disappear off the surface. So you want to work a little bit quickly. And you can see it's pulling some contamination and top layer off, which is fine. It's okay. It's not going to remove paint. We're just getting the contamination off of it. And when you think you got it smooth, wipe it down. And just take your hand and feel it. And you remember before it was kind of making a noise? It's not, that's gone. All that little contamination that was on the top is gone. I can feel it's really, really smooth, except for right here, because paint is missing, so you're gonna get a little bit of, not grit, but almost like uneven surface feel. But you get down here and it's completely smooth. So we're good, that panel's ready. Okay, so I did it one more time. Didn't have to film it because you already saw it, but it's very, very smooth. I don't know if you can hear the difference, but this is a lot smoother now than this. So what's the next step? So you could go and wet sand this if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I think it removes a lot of paint and I don't think it's necessary. I'm not looking for a bowling ball look. I want some shine, but I want it to look vintage appropriate, not like it's been doctored. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually buff it. So I know that the dual action buffer I showed you is probably the way to start, but I've done this enough to know that this is gonna need a little bit more than that's gonna give me. So I'm gonna use my Milwaukee buffer, the Battle Axe. So if you're doing this at home and you have long hair, make sure you cut it off because it's not the 80s, but really you wanna tie it back behind, put some glasses on because it's gonna make a mess. And we're gonna start with the heavy compound and this buffer. So what I usually do is pick a spot that you're gonna start at. So because it's cooler down here, I'll start in this section and I'm just gonna get a little bit of material on the paint here, a little bit on the pad because the pad's new, and then we'll buff this section. We should see some shine come through. So let's do that. Okay, here we go. So you get a little bit of material on the pad of the buffer. I usually rub it in my hand just to give it a little bit of a head start. Then get a little bit of material on the panel you're gonna do and move it around and then buff. And it's gonna make a mess, so that's why you wear dirty clothes. So I'm just spreading it now. And now I'm gonna start buffing it. So you can see that was just a really, really quick preliminary pass. And we've already got a lot of shine coming through, as you can see. And hopefully you can pick up that there's actually reflection there. Let me grab the camera so you can see it. I mean, here's what it looked like before. And here's what it is now. And you can see lots of shiny paint. And if you go up here where I didn't touch, it looks the same. So that's a good sign. That means that this paint is really going to come back well. So what's the next thing you do? You can go over that another time, which is what I'm going to do. One more pass just to see if we can get a little bit more of that wax to penetrate in and add some moisture to this paint again. So let's do that. Set you guys right here. And it'll be the same process. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit more material and then buff it again. And sometimes you get a little bit of dry spot like I have there. Just means the material didn't penetrate as much, so we'll focus there more. I know this thing's loud, but let me just tell you what I do. So again, this thing has variable speed by how far you pull the trigger. You can also lock it so that if you want it to go high speed all the time, it will go. All I'm doing is using low pressure on the panel. So as I'm buffing it, I'm not digging into it. I'm just letting it glide across the top, just like that. I'm letting my legs on this chair move me. I'm not really moving the buffer much. I'm just applying even pressure and moving back and forth. If you stick this on here and just wing it at high speed and push it into the paint, you will burn right through this. You'll basically create this. See how it's burned the paint off? You'll create that yourself, which you don't want to do. I'm trying to keep as much of the original finish on this bus as possible. So light pressure, multiple passes back and forth to get there. It's not a job you want to do fast. You want to take your time. And you can see on my pad, there's very little material that's being pulled off of the paint. And yeah, you're going to lose some, but this is nothing. And you can see it's already starting to shine. And this is just the cut. I haven't even polished it. Once you polish it, then it's really going to get depth to it. That's where you're going to get sort of that deep ocean look, where you look into it and you can see right through it. That's the final step. This is just the first prep buff. And so far, I think it looks pretty good. So panel's still pretty cool. So maybe what we'll do is just go up a little bit more and get into the top here so you guys can watch again. And I'll try and tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. It's a little hard because this is loud, but let's go one level higher. Again, just throw some material on there, mix it around. And now we're polishing. And you remember what I said about dry spots. If you can see here, I'll grab the camera. It's just dry right there. It doesn't penetrate as well as it did below. A little hard in the sun, but if you look right here, see how there's like that kind of dry section? So that's gonna have to get done and be done again. But this is just the first sort of test pass. I wanna see what's possible, and that's why I'm doing it. So I'll hit it one more time here. Okay, so let's hit it one more time. Let's go up a little bit. Okay. Okay. So, something else to know. See how we're getting a bunch of dry spots? A couple of things about that. We're outside. This is starting to get a little bit warm. And when it gets warm, what it wants to do is suck the material in, and it won't let you buff it off. So that's why we're getting all these little hot spots around here. This isn't the best way to do it, not outside like this, especially not on something that's this old. Like, this paint has never really been cared for. So you're probably gonna have to hit it multiple times. So we'll do it again. Same sort of deal. It's getting better, but it's just sucking the material in before I can get most of it buffed. But as you can see, I mean, it's remarkably better than what we started with. Good quick comparison. Look at this, look at that. Right? There is a ton of color on that door now, and it's only going to get better. So the trick to this is to try and do this in the shade. Of course, I've got a garage full of other cars and no space to work on this thing in. I just wanted to do this quickly so that we could show how much of a difference there really is going to be when this thing's done. But you can see from that, it's pretty dramatic. So I'm going to go over this a couple more times. I'm not going to film it because it's just, you've already seen it. So let me do that and see if I can get it to be pretty uniform, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, back. And as you can see, I did 2 more passes. Now it looks very uniform from the bottom to the top. All I did was the red. You can see we still got a little bit here where it's dry, a little bit here, a little bit here. And mainly that's because the paint's faded off of here, so you're starting to break through to the primer like it did here naturally. So it's just going to take a couple more passes in those spots more than normal. But overall, yeah, very uniform now, super smooth. And now we can go on to polishing. So let's do that. Okay, that's done. So now we've cut it, made it nice and smooth, pretty uniform. Now we're going to polish it. So polishing it is a little bit different beast. Again, this is that Hercules dual action polisher. I'm using a coarse foam polishing pad, not to be confused with a cutting pad. This is actually made to polish. You can see it's got lots of pores in it, but they're not real coarse. It's pretty smooth. And so what this does is it's just going to smooth that surface of the paint out to give you a shine. So I use that, and then the 3M Perfected Polish. This is usually what I do second to last. This isn't a final step for me. What I do last after this is I'll get carnauba wax and hand wax the whole thing. That tends to lock in the shine for a lot longer than if you were to just do this. But the process is the same. Get a little bit on the pad, rub it in, get some material on your surface there, and then just polish. And we should start to see a little bit more depth to the shine in the paint. So let's do this. Let's do it now. Actually, let's start down here. Again, get some material on there, a little bit of material on the pad. Same process as before. I like to start at like a 2 on the buffer. And I'm just going light pressure. getting the material all over the panel. Once you've got it in, you can increase the speed. So I'm going to go up to like 4 now. And that's just going to work the material in. Again, light pressure, no hurry. And then we'll bump it up to 6. Starting to really shine up now. Just wipe the excess off because there's always going to be some. This is going to be hard for you guys to see, but the difference between this panel and this part of the panel is pretty big. I can see my reflection of my hand in here pretty well. I can see the lines in my fingers, whereas up here it's less obvious. So why is it doing that? Because the depth of the shine is getting more. And so I'm going to bring this up. I don't know if you're going to see it or not, but look here. You can see the reflections down here pretty well. You come up here, they get a little less obvious. Down here, much nicer, much smoother. And that's that pad. That pad is just cutting the surface of the section that we did even finer than this portion up here that we did with just compound. So I know you can't feel it, but running my hand across it, this feels like it has no pores to it, whereas up here I can still feel the tiny lines that are in the paint on the back of my hand. So as we keep going down here lower on this panel with an even finer pad, it's just going to get smoother, more refined, better reflections, and just more luster. So that's the trick, is to just keep going and going and going until you got to the surface that you want. So in the reflection I can see that it just looks sort of multi-toned, but in real life it's actually very uniform. And so if you look at it from the side compared to the door in front of it, you can see there's just a huge difference in panel quality. Get it from this side, and you can really see the difference, and it's only going to get better the more we perfect it. But this is just a test for me to see what's going to be possible on this bus. I knew it was going to be pretty amazing, and I think I'm right. I think it's going to come out just unbelievable. And that's just this part. We still have the rest of the bus to go. So there you go, guys. not bad for just a little test patch, just to see what it's going to turn out like. And I didn't get too dirty, so that's a plus. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Obviously, this isn't the finished product. I'm going to be going over it several more times, including the rest of the bus, and dialing it in further and making it shine better and more uniform. But this was a quick 20-minute exercise just to see what it's going to look like underneath, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I honestly, for original paint bus with some heavy patina in places, I'm pretty happy with the look. Obviously, that's awesome. The fact that all this paint is still super smooth and can hold a shine, that's also a big plus. So stay tuned. We're going to be working on this bus a lot over the next few months. If you're not following us on social media, which you should be, we're everywhere. We're on every social media outlet. We're almost 250,000 followers strong now. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure that you do, because stuff like this is what I enjoy. And if you enjoy it, this is where you're going to see it, along with a ton of other Volkswagen content and maybe some non-Volkswagen content coming up in the future. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll see you soon.